I started working with HFD. I went to the academy. My first day was November 30th, 1981. And that process, I got out of there out of the academy in April of '82. My first fire station was Station 3, which is on West Alabama and Cummins. I was there about a year, and I had the fortune of being in a fire department that is a volunteer department here in Houston, believe it or not. It's one of Houston is unique in that respect, and it's still in existence, but it's kind of dwindled because of the requirements of that you have to have air packs and radios on your person, which there aren't enough of now, but back then you could be a volunteer, and literally I rode with the fire department for 2 or 3 years before I even joined. So by the time I joined, I knew a lot of firefighters in this city, and I knew exactly what I was getting into. And so I was sort of ahead in that regard, but I had built up some contacts within the fire department, and the chief at the station downtown, the replacement for this station, number 7 on Elgin, he called me up and he said, when I was working at Station 3, and asked me if I wanted to come over there because he had an opening. And I just gotten off probation, and I said, yeah, I believe I will, because Station 3 is a good station, a good crew I work with. But if you're going to be a fireman, you should like to fight fires or like to be an EMS. Either of the two are good reasons to come this way. If you want to be an accountant, if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, go do those things. But if you want to be in the fire department, go to the busy fire stations. That's what you want. And so that's where I went. And it was one of, if not the busiest station in the city at the time. And I stayed there about 3 years. And then I was getting frequently called to fill in on the ambulance, because at the time, about 1985 or 84, something in that area, the state required that 2 EMTs minimum had to be on an ambulance. And I was an EMT. In fact, I was in the first academy class in HFD that was mandatory EMT training. Prior to that, you didn't have to be an EMT. So as such, there were few EMTs around the area, relatively speaking to what it is today. Every firefighter you see today is a minimum of an EMT. Many of them are paramedics as well. But back then, you had your paramedics and you had your firefighters, and very few people were EMT trained solely. And so I was always filling in or detailed or having sent to another station to work on the ambulance. And I said, well, if this is how it's going to be, I'm just going to go on and go to paramedic school, because you get more pay for that, you get more respect, quite frankly, you get to make better decisions and so on and so forth. And I wanted to do it anyway at some point in my career. It just kind of, the department kind of focused me in that direction without either one of us intending for that. But that's how I ended up in EMS. So after that, I came back to Station 16 and was a paramedic for a while. Then that ambulance got moved to Station 3 again. So I was back where I'd started from for a little while. And then I promoted and went to Station 33 as a driver, or a chauffeur at that time, as the rank was called. And then from there, I ended up working a stint here at the museum. The fire chief was in need of a replacement for his man over here. It was a staff position, and the director of the museum for the fire chief at that time wanted to go back to the fire station, and so that's how I ended up over here. He called me, and that worked out, and I ended up over here. So I was here until around 1994, and then the dispatch, I had promoted in the meantime to the rank of dispatcher, which was a captain's level rank. But the way the fire department works, you have 5 different divisions, and that's been whittled down to at least no more than 4. There are a variety of different places you can go at the captain's rank, but the problem is, if you select that rank, you are actually a captain in that division. You cannot just laterally move at your choice to another division unless you test for it. It's a civil service procedure. So, but I was a dispatcher, and I went down there for a few years before I was able to promote to captain outright in the field, the station captain. And then I went to Station 82. I was there for, that's far southwest Houston. I was there for about 4 or 5 years, and then transferred to Station 37 which at the time was closer to my house. It's near Bel Air and West University in the Braes Heights area. And then I promoted again, went to Station 55 as a senior captain for a little over a year, as I recall, and then went back to went to Station 59 and was there for about a year or two before I retired. That was, and I had a whole career, was about 27 years.